All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today I'm joined by my guy, Wiz, from Wiz Does, newly minted brand. And as always, thanks for coming on, Wiz, one of my favorite people to break down fights with. What's up, brother? How are you? And how are you thinking? How are you feeling about this card?
As always, thank you for bringing me on again. It's always a pleasure talking fights with you and breaking these fights down. Nothing more I'd rather be doing at this point in time because nursing this broken ankle, so I can't really do much anyways. But overall, I think this card has quite a bit of violence spots. And you know how it is. I mean, any Saturday with fights on, we're all appreciative, but especially when there's violence included, at least violence predicted on my end. I'm excited. Even though it's like not the highest level of cards, but not anyone making their debut for once in a while. So we have something like that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mushroom. Guys, if you haven't checked out Mushroom's channel, make sure you're following him. And all right, let's hop right into the card. I also think we're going to see a bunch of violence, have a few unders, a few overs, and we'll talk about what else I'm looking at. But for the first fight, we've got Themba Gorimbo coming back against Takashi Sato. Sato, 16-6-0. He's 32 years old, 5'10" with the 73-inch reach. I've got him at Sanford MMA. Gorimbo, 10-4-0. He's 32, 6'1". He's going to be 3 inches taller, 3-inch reach advantage. And it says MMA Masters here. I can't confirm or deny his Instagram's private. So if you know Wiz, let us know. And why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I mean, I only see MMA Masters here as well. This guy Themba hasn't really been training for too long, just a couple of pro fights under his belt. But Gorimbo is going to have a 3.5-inch reach advantage here, 2-inch height advantage in this matchup. It's a low-level fight that we have on our hands here to open up the card, but one where I do expect violence from either side. I mean, obviously we know Takashi Sato is more of a striker, landing a couple of knockouts in his career. Gorimbo is more of a grappler, has a couple of submissions on his record. And when you go ahead and look at the record of Sato, if you look at some of his losses, multiple losses by submission, I believe that number is 3 or 4. I can't quite remember. I've taped this fight last week, so it's been a while. But I do think that Gorimbo has a clear path to victory here, and it's the wrestling. Sato has very poor takedown defense and submission defense. He's been subbed multiple times, as I mentioned. I do worry about the cardio of Gorimbo, but Gorimbo's sub is the look for me here. I do have a moneyline bet on him. I just think that minus 110 is probably incorrect as the line. I think it should be closer to minus 135, minus 140.
Evan over here waiting till you have a broken angle and then lining it at minus 1200 him. I like it. Values on Wiz.
Yeah, I probably still knee him in the face.
You hear this, Evan? Yo, we got to make that happen. But all right. So for me, yeah, I kind of agree with Daz Dillinger. I don't know if this is Daz or a new Daz, but probably a stay away in terms of money line for me. I lean Themba. I think Themba's going to win. I think it's going to be the grappling, but his striking to me is questionable. It's all right, but it's like not great. And his striking defense is not great either. And Takashi Sato, he's a pretty good striker. Takedown defense is like 60% over a decent amount of fights now in the UFC. But once he gets taken down, he can be held down. The Beza sub, also not great look to me. And Themba on the ground, I think he's very solid. I like what he does on the ground. Good control. One of his losses to Henderson Ferreira, he got out grappled. That's not a threat here with Sato. So I personally don't think a knockout's going to happen. I think Themba probably wins either decision. I'm thinking submission. I played the sub at plus 475, put a quarter unit on it. I like that price a lot. I think it's like 3 sub losses for our guy Sato. I know Gunnar Nelson couldn't do it, but Gunnar Nelson is like weird like that sometimes. If Beza could do it, I think Gorimbo probably could as well.
Yeah, 3 losses by sub for Sato.
The under is a good look, but I don't like the price. Minus 165 is already too chalky, I feel like. Because it might just turn out into like a grapple fest from Gorimbo.
Agreed. And I mean, if Sato just tries to defend the body lock and the rear naked choke like he did against Gunnar, who says that he can't just drown this out to a decision?
Yeah, might happen. I think it's a very volatile fight, so a good one to stay away from in the money line, in my opinion. But we can move on to a fight I think everybody's waiting for. We got Victoria Leonardo versus Natalia Silva, our minus 1,000 favorite this week. Leonardo 9-4-0. She's 33 years old, 5'5" with a 64-inch reach. Silva on the other side, 14-5-1. She's 26, 7 years younger. 1 inch shorter, 1 inch reach advantage. I'll start us off. I mean, there's not much to say. She's minus 1,000 for a reason. She's really good. She's a very solid fighter. I think there's still some questions and like some things that she's not perfect at. So making her 1,000 is kind of crazy to me. Minus 1,000. Not to say I think Leonardo is worth a shot. She's not worth a shot. The woman has heart. She's got that dog in her, and she has okay grappling, and that's it. Doesn't have good striking at all. Extremely, extremely hittable. And pretty sure most of her losses are by knockout, like 3 losses. I know one of them is Manon Fiore. The other one, she like broke something or injured something. It was a Musagato fight, broken arm, it says. So I think Silva's going to hurt her. But what I did was I actually played the sub, not the knockout. Silva's got 9 sub wins, almost all of them arm bars. And for me, I just see Leonardo. I think she's just going to be rushing in there and constantly trying to grapple. She's going to be trying to start these grappling situations, and it's just going to open it up for Silva. So I think either the sub's going to come that way from an initiation with grappling from Leonardo, or club and sub. I think that's possible too. I think Silva can hurt her and then submit her. I got plus 250. I put a half unit on it. Nothing crazy. I've considered playing the under 2.5. I know a lot of people like it because it's actually cheaper than Silva inside the distance. The under is like minus 140. Silva ITD's minus 160, minus 170 last I looked. I'm having something stopping me though. Something's like, Mike, maybe not. Because like I'm looking at Leonardo and like if not for that broken arm, would Gatto have stopped her? And like Manon Fiore is Manon Fiore. Like that's not Natalia Silva's great, but she, in my opinion, she's not on that level. I think we're all just kind of getting really excited. Like she did lose a round to Bleda, you know. She did get out grappled by her. Bleda much, much better than Leonardo. Don't get me wrong. She'd destroy Leonardo, I think, but she's not perfect is my point. But yeah, I don't know. I'm staying off that under for now. Make sure you're following me at Couch Warrior Pod. That's where I'll post it if I play it. But I do have that sub right now. If you can get it around plus 225 or higher, I think it's worth like a half unit shot. How about you, Wiz?
Yeah, I mean, there isn't really much to break down in this fight. Tail of the tape is pretty much identical here. Silva is the biggest favorite on the card. And I mean, for good reason. This Leonardo chick is, with all due respect, she probably beats my ass. But she's just not that good in comparison to Natalia Silva. She's a better striker in all aspects of MMA. Let's just put it that way. I think Silva round 2 KO is a interesting number, but nothing too crazy on this fight. Obviously, you can't really do much with a minus 1,000 unless you're looking in the prop market.
Yeah, and then it can get complicated. Like Jonathan Almeida, for example, usually wins by sub, but he's got a lot of knockout wins too. And it comes down to how do they want to win that time when they're that good or that much of a favorite. So we'll see. But we can move on to another fight that has people pretty split, I'd say. We have Chase Hooper versus Nick Fiore. Hooper, 11-3-1, 23 years old, 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. He's actually at Sick Jitsu now, training with Michael Chiesa. An interesting choice. We'll talk about it. Fiore, 6-1-0. He's 2 years older. He's going to be 3 inches shorter and have a 2-inch reach disadvantage, training out of New England Cartel. He is the resident 155er. Hooper coming up from 145. What are you thinking, Wiz?
Yeah, as you mentioned, the big star asterisk on this fight is Hooper's moving up from 145 to 155. And, you know, for me, a very profitable angle that I've stuck to over the past couple of years is first fight moving up a weight class, bet on the other side if it's close or if it's dog odds, because it takes a fight to 2 fights for these guys to actually get used to this weight class and for them to actually fill in. I mean, Hooper's last fight against Steve Garcia was 6 months ago. You can't fill into a 155 frame in 6 months. It's not possible. So for the one thing I'm taking into factor here is that Hooper's not going to be used to the strength that these guys at 155 have. Although, I mean, obviously he's training with Michael Chiesa, a bigger dude, but no one really notable coming out of that camp specifically. So if you're looking at the measurables, yeah, obviously Hooper's going to have the 3-inch height advantage and 2-inch reach advantage here. But I think Fiore, he's going to be a much better Fiore, whatever it is. I always mispronounce it.
I say it the fancy way just cause.
Fiore. He's going to be the better striker here. Hooper's striking is just god awful. He doesn't defend at all. Fiore throws with more power than Hooper, and we've seen how chinny Chase can be. I think the move up to 155 is probably going to help him out here. But like I said, that first initial move, first fight's going to be it's always going to be tough. And against Rebecca, Fiore showed a lot of toughness. And this was on short notice, people forget. He almost had Rebecca caught in that first round, and he hurt him bad. Like, he was landing shots, but obviously when you have someone the size of Rebecca come and throw in haymakers, it's going to be tough to get out. And Hooper does not throw haymakers. He doesn't have that kind of power. The only thing I have questions about is Fiore's cardio. Again, we only saw him on that short notice. On the regional side, we haven't really seen too much because he's been getting round 1 and round 2 finishes. But yeah, I do have a bet on Fiore money line, and I have some confidence in it.
Did you get him as a dog or the new?
I got him at plus 105.
All right, because he's like minus 130 last I looked.
Yeah, so I could arb out if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see what happens. I'm probably gonna maybe play something on Hooper if it gets to like my plus 130. But here's my thing. Like, I'll talk about the weight class thing first, because that's like the narrative of the week. And like, first off, is Fiore really that big for a lightweight? Like, we're not talking about some tremendous sized lightweight. Like, forget the fact that Chase is bigger than him. Just in general for lightweight, he's not shredded. In fact, I saw a little bit of a love handle. It's kind of looked like my body, and I just don't feel like he's some kind of like tremendously powerful lightweight that everybody's like making him out to be. And I also think people are putting so much emphasis on this Steve Garcia knockout. I think that happens when people lose money on someone. I imagine a lot of people had Chase Hooper there. I had Garcia. So I'm not sitting there and being like, oh, how could Hooper get knocked out by him and lose me money? Now I'm going to fade him. I don't do that. Not to say you're doing that, Wiz, but I try not to do that. And I think that Garcia is more explosive and more powerful than what I've seen from Nick Fiore. I just do. And I don't think that Nick can knock out Hooper like that. If he will knock him out, I think it's going to be an attritional thing. He is a better striker. I mean, I don't think you can say Hooper's a better striker than anybody in the UFC, really. Maybe I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah,
but
yes, it's tough.
I'll have to get back to you on that. But another thing, Garcia also, he came down to featherweight for that fight. That was his first featherweight fight in a minute. Before then, I think he had 2 or 3 fights in a row at lightweight. So it's not like we're talking about this featherweight that knocked him out. We're talking about a big featherweight who came back down from lightweight and knocked him out. So just another asterisk to add, I think. But all that said, Hooper doesn't have this offensive grappling of Rebecca, where he can just go, drag him down. But he has a different kind of grappling. He works off the fence. And I think that the problem with Fiore here is I think he's going to play into this game of Hooper. I think that he has this jiu-jitsu black belt that he is confident in. From what I've seen, he wants to be on the ground. Even against Rebecca, he initiated his own takedowns. He got one. But to me, it feels like he doesn't want to be on the feet, even against a guy like Rebecca, where on paper, he might have a striking edge because Rebecca is also a grappler. But he chose to grapple. So I think he's going to fall into the game of Hooper here. If he's smart, just avoid Hooper's scrambles, avoid all the funky stuff he's going to do, and strike. And you can probably finish him or at least win the decision. I don't think it's going to be that simple. And I feel like, I don't know, everyone's on Fiore, and I'm just like, are we really this ready to just hop on ship? As an underdog, I get it. I think it's a good play as a dog. Now, at minus 138, I really do think it's best to pass. I just feel like you mentioned it. We have nothing to work with other than the Rebecca fight. And he got mostly dominated in the Rebecca fight. So really, what are we supposed to take from that other than he's tough, gets controlled by strong wrestlers, and has pretty good stand-up? We really don't know much else. We don't know how he is in other fights. We just have the Jay Ellis fight. Everybody's talking about, oh, he's only fought Jay Ellis and all that and a few other guys who suck. I think he's good. I'm not ready to play him. Even when he was like a slight dog, I didn't want to play it. Now I'm kind of tempted on Hooper. I just think he's going to find success on the ground. I think it's going to be a scramble fest, but The one thing I do have down right now, I played the fight goes to decision. I got it at plus 195. I threw a half unit on it. It's plus 155 now. I think it's okay still. Like I said, I don't think Fiore has the power to just knock him out clean. It has to be attritional. And I don't think there's going to be enough stand up for that. So, and I don't really think Hooper submits him. I mean, it's possible, but I don't think so. And I don't think Fiore submits him. So I think we probably go to a decision. And at plus money, I like that. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing that I was talking to a couple of the guys offline with is it's a grappler versus grappler matchup, and what do we tend to see in these grappler versus grappler type matchups? It's a lot of striking. So that's another thing that gives me some confidence in Fiore just because of that. But also, I mean, you don't know how he's going to deal with the reach of Hooper. He said in a recent interview that he has a couple of people in his camp that they brought in specifically that match his frame. But at the end of the day, it's still a sight to be seen.
All right. What's up, easy picks and bets? Thanks for tuning in. We can move on to the next fight. I can't say I'm excited for it, but it's a fight that's going to happen. We've got Ilir Latifi versus Rodrigo Nascimento. Latifi 16-8-0. He's 40 years young, 5'10" with a 75-inch reach. I'm actually not sure where he's training at. I don't think it's All Stars anymore from what I saw on Instagram. Oops. Nascimento on the other side, 9-1-0. He's going to be 10 years younger, going to be 4 inches taller with a 5-inch reach advantage. American top team for him. I'll start us off. I mean, look, I think Nascimento wins. I don't think he's worth playing at minus 200. I think there's a huge question mark with this takedown defense. It's 100%, but that's off of one takedown attempted against him in the UFC. Forgetting who it was. Looking at the last 5. I think it might have been Dontel Mays. I don't remember.
It was Dontel Mays, yeah.
It was one takedown attempted, and he defended it. And then I went on his regionals, and I can't find anything of him being taken down. Nothing. So I don't know how he's going to handle Latifi's grappling. I have no idea. I'm not a fan of Latifi. I've never bet him. I don't think I ever will. He's got good wrestling, and that's it. His striking's serviceable, and he'll use it to set up the takedowns, but he's low output. He doesn't really have much of a reach, especially against a guy like Nascimento. He's going to be, I think on the feet, he's going to be a fish out of water here. He's going to need those takedowns, but without knowing what Nascimento's takedown defense will look like, I can't put money on this. So I'm passing. I think it's a great pass, but what do you think, Wiz?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do think Nascimento wins this fight. Just some of the measurables. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage here and a 4-inch height advantage. Both guys have some pretty bad gas tanks, I gotta say. Latifi, the biggest difference is that he's not a true heavyweight, while Nascimento is a true heavyweight and he's 10 years younger, so that just plays into the factor that much more. Latifi on the feet, just close to no volume. It's just going to depend on if he lands those takedowns, as you mentioned. And Nascimento, we haven't seen him off his back, but from what I've read is that he's some phenom grappler, black belt, and he's feared when it comes to the jiu-jitsu department. But again, you can be feared when it comes to the top position, but when you're on bottom, it's a whole different story when you have someone that has no neck and is just very tiny. All of his center of mass is just pushing down on you. So it's going to be a fight where we get to know a lot about Nascimento and not so much about Latifi, because this could be his last fight as well. Ultimately, I think Nascimento wins this. I don't think the price right now is worth playing at all. Even parlaying, it's just there's too many unknowns.
There's like nothing to parlay on this card. I love parlays. That's my thing.
You and me both.
Nothing. But we can move on. Next fight up.
Natalia Silva minus 1,000. You can't? No, I'm playing.
How? Yeah. If people are doing that, I don't know what to say anymore. But Valentina Shevchenko dropped the ball at minus 900. We should have learned from this already.
They want their extra $19 in these parlays. Come on.
Dude, I mean, at that point, just parlay the ITD if you really think she's going to. Like, if you think she should be minus 1,000, you should be hammering that ITD because if she should cover that. Yep. I think she should be like minus 500. I think that was the proper line.
I think people are afraid with that one just because it's WMMA.
I mean, same reason I'm kind of nervous. Like, she didn't finish Jasmine, even though she had her in trouble a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm. If I could say anything about her is that she gives up too much control off the cage, but that's for a different fight.
Feel you. But yo, CT, I mean, I'm already looking at it about max betting. Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. I think Guram's one of the best lightweights in the world. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll probably be doing something with that minus 300 because I can't tell you whether he gets a knockout or not. I know a few weeks out, 2 weeks, I think it is.
2
But
weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. I was about to say, who is he fighting again? Can you remind me?
why do I think it's Kyle Nelson?
No.
No, Kyle Nelson's fighting the other Jamie Malarkey.
Oh yeah.
It's a good fight, but he just levels. He's levels up, I think.
That's a little KO look.
Dude, he should have won against Demir. I was there live. I had 2 units on him at like plus 200 or something, and he fucking won that fight. But it was karma for him winning the Gamrot fight that he probably didn't win.
That was close. That was very close.
I thought he won that too, but I was biased. I had him there as well. But all right, we can move on. This is probably one of the most like popular underdogs I've seen in a while. And that's why I had so much hesitation on it. But we've got Orion Cosce versus Gilbert Urbina. Cosce, he's 8-1-0, 28 years old, 5'11" with a 71-inch reach. I don't think he's at Team Alpha Male anymore. Anything recent that he's posted is at this red and black gym that I can't figure out. So I can't tell you where he trains, but I can tell you I'm pretty sure it's not Team Alpha Male. Urbina, 6'2-0. He's 1 year younger. He's going to be 4 inches taller, have a 3-inch reach advantage. Training at the BMF Ranch, so decent camp. What are you thinking, Wiz?
Yeah, I mean, this fight, here's the way I broke it down. Urbina's going to have a 4-inch height advantage and 3-inch reach advantage. Both guys' cardio is very questionable. Another fight where we have someone moving weight classes, Urbina moving down to 170. So again, got to look and see how that looks with the durability and with the cardio, because he already has bad cardio, and when you move down a weight class, it just hurts it that much more. Cosce doesn't seem to really push through the fatigue all that much better than Urbina, but I give him the edge there just slightly. Urbina's the better striker, and Cosce's the better wrestler. Ultimately, I mean, no lean on the fight. I want to say that Urbina wins, but this guy has a lot of question marks. Obviously, had just the one fight in the UFC against Brian Battle, and he lost that due to via submission. And he was in the tough house. Decent prospect, but I think he has a ways to go. But Cosce himself he's the worst of the 2 Cosce brothers, and I don't have too much faith in him either. So a dog shot on Urbina, I don't mind it.
Yeah, Mr. X, I can't tell you how good of a camp it is, but hey, just saying what I know. But yeah, in terms of what I'm thinking for this fight, my gut was Cosce. My gut the whole time was Cosce, and that's why I didn't play it. I was waiting and waiting and waiting to see what happens with the line. And then today it got down to almost pick 'em, and I was like, all right, if I'm gonna bite, I should probably bite now. And I was right because I just looked, the line's coming back down on Cosce. So if there was a time to play him, it was then. And I spent so much time taping this fight for no damn reason because I only have a half unit down on this, but I spent like fucking 4 hours. I don't know. I wanted to figure it out. Like I was feeling Cosce, and then everyone's on Urbina. And I'm like, what am I missing here? I'm ignoring these Twitter echo chambers, but what am I missing? And like I'm watching, and like I like to talk to people in the background, and one person, Big Steve, my guy, he kind of woke me up. He's like, all right, Cosce's taking people down, but like, look at it. Look at who it is. Off memory, I was like, all right, Phil Rowe, he's huge. You took him down. That's pretty good. But you look back at it, Phil Rowe, not the best takedown defense, even though he's so huge. I did play Phil Rowe in that fight against Cosce as a big underdog. Cashed that ticket. That was cool. But I felt like this was a pretty good matchup because what I remember from Urbina was me not being very impressed. I mean, he beat Michael Gilmore in the Ultimate Fighter house. Okay, great job. Did submit him. That was good. Then he fights Tresean Gore. Looked pretty good. I think he won the first round, but then he got knocked out clean. And then after that, it was the Brian Battle fight. And that's ultimately what gave me a lot of pause, I think, when I was looking at Cosce. Because what happened? Like, what even happened in that second round? He's winning. It didn't even look like he's gassed. And then he goes for a takedown, doesn't get it. Battle goes for the takedown, gets it, and immediately just gets that rear naked with like no fighting against it. And that's not good. That doesn't look good. So I started worrying about his cardio. And even now, even though now after doing more and more tape, I think he's going to win the fight. I'm still very concerned about round 3, and I might sprinkle Cosce round 3 knockout. I'm going to see what FanDuel gives me. If they give me close to plus 2,000, I'm going to throw a tenth of a unit on it because I'm very concerned about that with Urbina. All that said, I think he's just a more well-rounded fighter. And if the weight cut goes well, he's going to be a healthy, much bigger fighter. And I think that's going to help him as well. In terms of the wrestling, you said he's the better, Cosce is a better wrestler. That's my feeling also. And we just don't have much to work with from Urbina to really figure that out. But on paper, I looked it up. Both guys stopped at high school. They wrestled in high school. That was it. Urbina, though, Texas, and he placed 5th at states. Pretty good. Cosce, no such accolades. Fought, wrestled for a small high school, I think, in California, and just wrestled. There's nothing really there. So on paper, it's Urbina. Who's actually the better wrestler? It's hard for me to tell. I thought Cosce looked great, but with Urbina also, there's not many fights where we get to see it get tested, the takedown defense, and not many fights where we see him defend takedowns. The Sean Brady fight was the one before the Ultimate Fighter House. And I mean, it's Sean Brady. We can say, like, that's all right, bud. And it was also in like 2017 or 18. So it was a long time ago. I'm sure it's improved. From what I've seen, until he gasses, I like everything I'm seeing. I like the striking. I do think he's the better striker here. Cosce, especially against bigger guys, you're seeing a lot of overhand rights, a lot of like big, like he winds up the kicks and not many combinations. So as long as Urbina doesn't gas, I think this is his fight. He did go into the Brian Battle fight on short notice, I believe. So maybe that's why he gassed out. He did go for that finish early on. I think he even wobbled Battle or knocked him down. I don't remember exactly, but I know that he did hurt him in like the first minute. So maybe that's what happened with the cardio. I don't know. What I did was I played Urbina plus 103 for a half unit because I do think he's a better guy. Do think he's a bigger guy, but I'm not too confident. So I'm sticking with a half unit, and that's it. There's never any big Steve slander here, yo. That's my boy. Chill. I'll roast him, but that's all. Mushroom, my guy, and then the CT. All right, we can move on. So next,
just add a point on to when you're asking, depending on if the cut goes well, he looks to be in phenomenal shape. You check out his Instagram, and man,
does he have a different Instagram now?
I'm pretty sure he does because I've seen the pictures floating around, and he looks lean. He looks shredded. He looks good.
Oh, because the only Instagram I'm seeing, he hasn't posted since the Ultimate Fighter, pretty much. So my dog
was probably on my story a couple of days ago. Aww.
He never does this. I don't know what he wants. Hey, buddy. I think he wants to play. We're gonna go walk after this, but I'm weak. He's just looking at me. All right, we'll move on. Sorry about my guest, guys. You want me to like pick you up? What do you want?
Okay. Show him to the camera.
First time for everything. Okay. Next up, we've got Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Karolina, 14-7-0, 37 years old, 5'3" with a 64-inch reach. She's at American Top Team. Demopoulos, 9-4-0. She's 34, 3 years younger, 1 inch shorter, with a 4-inch reach disadvantage with a 59-inch reach. And she moved to Factory X for some reason, which we'll talk about. But Wiz, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, and I think your dog coming into the picture might be a symbol of something here. We have the tail of the tape almost identical. Can't say more than what a fight, because what is this? Karolina is near retirement. She went on a 5-fight losing streak, and now she bounced back with those 2 against Silvana. And then here's the thing. Karolina is going to be the better striker. Vanessa is the better grappler in this matchup. Here's the one thing I really like about Vanessa Demopoulos is that she has heart. Like, she will go out there. She will fight for your money. And if you could take Karolina down, Karolina has been subbed before. And Demopoulos on the ground, she's pretty decent. I'm not going to say she's the best or the craziest thing on the mats, but definitely better than Karolina. She goes out on her shield every fight. She shows grit, and you can't really ask for more. She does defend punches with her face, so that's always alarming. But I think if Vanessa can land the takedowns, she'll likely win this fight. So I'm very tempted on betting the Vanessa Demopoulos money line here and the sub. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the feeling. I feel like someone's gonna nuke Karolina's money line, and the line's gonna move a little bit more. So I'm just waiting and being patient. If I can get close to like plus 145, plus 150, I'm automatically pulling the trigger.
Want to shoey this one?
Man, I thought we were gonna shoot the Chase
Shoey
Hooper and
deserve-
Nick Fiore one. I forgot to ask you about that.
I ain't shoeying Chase Hooper. I'm not giving you a freebie. You
Ah,
usually always have the favorites, and I always have the underdogs.
you know what?
My
Let's do
record
it.
against you is like 0-4.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, bet. So I've got Kowalkiewicz here. I think Vanessa's good, but she's not like that great. And neither is Karolina, but Karolina's looked pretty good. And I understand she's 37, but Vanessa's not a spring chicken either. She's 34. She's only 3 years younger. He's actually both. He's a cocker and a cavalier. It's called a cockalier. So that's Spliff over there. And that's Mila next to him. But yeah, back to the fight. I don't love Vanessa's striking. I think it's all right, but a 59-inch reach doesn't help her situation. Karolina, she's not some boxing stud, but she's pretty good. She's pretty good on the feet. Sometimes that she'll like, oh my God. Sometimes she'll like rush in with like flurries, leave her open to counters. But if someone like Gomez Juarez isn't knocking her out, I don't think Vanessa's going to knock her out. A sub is possible. And I'll tell you what I think my favorite low-key spot here is. I think I'm going to hit the under 2.5. It's like plus 240 on DraftKings. And I think it's a really low-key way to play this because can Karolina get subbed? Yeah, we've seen it before. Of course she can get subbed. And can Vanessa? It hasn't happened yet, but do I think she can get submitted by the right person? I do think she can. So fight ends in sub. I don't have that prop up yet. That might be interesting. And the under, I'm probably going to play the under. I think violence is going to happen here. I do think Karolina wins. I think she can grind her out or get a finish, but it's a close fight, and I recognize that. And I think a finish can come from either side, and that's why I think that the under is a good spot. Hey, everyone always says never, and then it happens, and then all of a sudden everybody saw it coming. So, hey, if you know the future, I say this every time. It's my favorite response to stuff like that. If you know the future, where you can say this person wins for sure, just let me know. Does McDonald's bring back 24/7 breakfast? Yes or no?
Over here they do.
What'd you say?
Over here they have that 24/7 breakfast.
They used to, and they don't have it no more. So if you can see the future, just let me know. But also the Karolina submission plus 2,000. I'm not tracking it, but hell yeah, I put a few pennies on that thing, dude. I mean, I think people are just throwing this out the window that it's impossible she can get a sub. But why are we just saying Vanessa's so good? And like she was at Fight Ready. That was a great camp for her. Now she's at Factory X. I don't know why. I don't think that's the move. It's not a prosperous camp right now. And it's not. I think Fight Ready was the right place for someone like her. Work more on your takedowns so you can use that jiu-jitsu and work on your striking. Two things that Fight Ready can do well. I don't know why she left, but I don't think it's a great move. I just think Karolina, either it's going to be a decision or a finish. I think she wins. I think Vanessa can finish too. That's why I'm going to play that under. And whether I play Karolina's money line, I'm going to need it to come back down. When it was minus 125, I was considering it. I want that or better. So I'm going to wait. I'm doing the opposite of what you're doing. You're hoping for a bomb on Karolina. I'm hoping for a bomb on Vanessa so I can play Karolina closer. If it doesn't get closer, I'm going to stick with that under. I haven't played it yet because I want to see what other books give me. But plus 240 on DraftKings, I'm ready to put something on it. I don't know how much, but I'll figure it out. Probably like a half unit. I think it's a really low-key spot that I don't think anybody I've seen has played.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the reason why Vanessa moved to Factory X is probably to improve her striking because Fight Ready is more of a grappling and wrestling gym. Obviously, they're some of the best coaches and game planning out there, but what she needs is better striking and better striking defense. And I'm not a fan of the move, but I'm also not a fan of the move, if that makes sense.
Could go well, you mean? Could go poorly.
Could go well, it could go bad. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's a rough fight. That's why I think the under and a shoey bet might be the way to do it.
Down.
No real money on a side. We'll see. But we can move on to way more fight, and one that Daz said he can see the future of. Still didn't tell me about McDonald's. Maheshate versus Viacheslav Borshchev. Maheshate 9-2-0. He's going to be 23 years old, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch reach. On the other side, Borshchev 6-3-0. He's going to be 8 years younger at 31, going to be 1 inch shorter and have a 3-inch reach disadvantage. Team alpha male for him. Maheshate, it says Enbo. I don't think he's there. Do you know where he trains?
No, to be honest, I don't really look at the training where they're training at for like these regional guys that are just coming into the UFC first couple of fights. No, not really.
Gotcha. All right, I'll start us off here. So the second I saw the matchup, I ran the tape real quick just to see if Maheshate grapples much, and he doesn't. And I was like, okay, done deal. Because Borshchev's a beast. He's such a good striker. If I'm not mistaken, he's a master of sport. I think is it boxing or something else? I don't remember. I'll look it up when Wiz is talking. He's a master in sport in something in Russia, which requires like over 100 bouts in whatever the sport is. I think that his striking is legit. I think that his counter game is legit. I love his striking. He goes to the body, to the head. It doesn't matter. He's going to mess you up. He'll mix it up. He's fast with his hands. He is hittable sometimes, even though he does hold a high guard. And we have seen him hurt even on the regionals. So I definitely see some love for Maheshate because he's explosive. He's big. He's got power. He can do those things. But I just don't think his striking is good enough to be able to hang with Borshchev. If you're betting Maheshate, you're essentially you need a finish. You need him to finish, and you need it to happen relatively quickly because the more the fight goes on, Maheshate has shown to slow down. Borshchev not so much. He'll keep it up. And the more Maheshate slows down, the more Slava's gonna find success. And I think he's probably gonna end up knocking him out. I played the money line at -138. I put a unit on it. At -170, it makes me a little bit more uncomfortable just because, Maheshate does have power and he is 23 and he might be rapidly improving and he's already pretty good. And maybe he could touch that chin. I don't think so. I think it's going to be Borshchev by knockout. Props to anybody. I saw Uncle Weezy got this. Bet Online tweaked out. Someone probably got fired. They posted get this, ready? Maheshate round 1 KO. Guess what it was? Unless you already know, then it's no fun.
I don't know.
It opened up at plus 4,000. It's plus 800 now. Maheshate round 2 KO opened up plus 4,500. Now plus 1,200. Round 3 KO opened up. It's loading. I'm pretty sure it's plus 55 if I remember correctly. So anyone who got those for sprinkles, good job. Because if he wins, it's going to be by knockout and probably 1 and 2 is what I think. But all of those at that price are worth playing. And if you did, good job. Those are long gone and got destroyed. So I wouldn't touch it now. Like, if you don't like Borshchev enough to play him, I personally wouldn't play Maheshate. I just pass. I like him enough. I played him. He's now -155. I see money's coming in on Maheshate. Maybe you wait a little bit. You can get a line like I did. I think it's worth a 1-unit shot. How about you, Wiz?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Maheshate is going to have the power advantage in this matchup. Hasn't really shown to the prowess in the wrestling department consistently in the pro scene. You look at the regionals, you don't even see him shoot takedowns. If he does try to attempt takedowns and he lands them, which Slava's takedown defense is absolutely horrendous. So anyone can take him down. A gust of wind could take him down. So if he does that, I mean, he could win this fight pretty easily. There's a path to victory, and Slava does tend to slow down in that third round. But if this is going to be on the feet, which I do think it's going to be on the feet, Slava is going to style on him. He has much more, a lot more techniques in the striking game. He can mix it up well when it comes to the body, to the head, and then the kicking game. And we've seen him get that liver shot knockout time and time again. I think he could probably do it here too against the bigger guy in Maheshate, who, yeah, when you're taller, sure, you might have the advantage when it comes to the reach side, but if someone's hunting that liver, you're at a severe disadvantage here. So I think Slava probably gets him out of there in round 1. So I might be playing the Slava round 1 KO prop and just say that's it. But I don't know. If this line keeps coming down, I'll play Slava. I was a little bit late to taping this one, so I missed out on the good lines. So props to you on that. But yeah, I do think Slava wins this by knockout.
All right, we agree there. No shoey bet for that one.
Nope.
Next
And
up, we've got.
Steve, I'm not even Italian. What are you talking about?
Who said you're Italian?
Steve Gregory. Wiz
Chase.
That's gold. That's gold.
Who's slandering? Yeah, I only wanted Mike not to lose. No one's slandering you, Big Steve. Not me. They're framing me. They're framing me.
They're trying to create a false narrative.
Seriously. But all right. So Michael Johnson versus Diego Ferreira is up next. We got Johnson 21, 18-0, 36 years old. He's 5'10" with the 74-inch reach. Sanford MMA for him. Ferreira 17, 5-0. He's 38, so he's 2 years older. 5'9", so he's 1 inch shorter, and he's got a same reach. I don't know his camp. I don't think it's Fortis from what I see on Instagram. It looks like he's somewhere else, but I can't really tell you where he is. Wiz, why don't you start us off? I got to run to the restroom.
Of course, yeah. Tail of the tape on this fight is very similar for the two guys. You'll see Michael Johnson have a 1 inch height advantage, and then he's going to have a disadvantage in the reach department of half an inch, so pretty much nothing. I think Diego, I mean, obviously hasn't been fighting. His last fight was a year and 4 months ago, so not too long, but also concerning. Why did he take a year and 4 months off randomly? Doesn't really add up. So it's going to be tough. He's 38. Michael Johnson, yeah, he is older. He's 36, but has shown that he still has the ability to win fights competitively in the UFC level. I do think Johnson is going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Diego Ferreira here. Diego Ferreira's main option is getting a takedown and getting a sub because he's such a high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu player. But then when you look at Michael Johnson, when he faced Mark Diakese in his last fight, and Diakese wasn't able to get him down, we've known Michael Johnson to have that elite takedown defense at around like 83, 84% last time I checked. So I just think that he stuffs all the takedowns of Diego Ferreira and outstrikes him, maybe even lands a knockout here. So give me Michael Johnson. Not the most confidence in the world, but I just think Diego Ferreira is here for a paycheck.
I can understand that, but I feel like people said the exact same thing about Johnson when he fought Patrick 3 fights ago, or when he fought Malarkey 2 fights ago, 1 fight ago, 1 fight over, whatever. I feel like he was also on the downtrend. Like, remember when he lost to Clay Guida, what everybody was saying? Diego Ferreira, his last 3, Mateus Gamrot, Gregor Gillespie, and Beneil Dariush. 3 people who, in my mind, smoke Michael Johnson. You did hit a good point. The takedown defense of Johnson is really good, and I think it's gotten even better. He hasn't fought anyone with the jiu-jitsu of Ferreira recently. The last person who was close is probably Thiago Moises, who even then couldn't get down Johnson. He had to roll for the ankle to get it. I like Ferreira here, and I think he's going to get those takedowns. I think he is going to push him up against the fence. I think he's going to find his way on top, similar to the Pettis fight. Because I say Pettis, and you're like, yo, Anthony Pettis. This is 3 years ago, guys. Because the last 3 fights are the ones I listed that he lost to Dariush, Gillespie, and Gamrot. 3 grapplers who are better grapplers than him. And Johnson is not that. In the striking, yeah, it's Johnson all day long. I mean, Johnson outstrikes some of the best guys in the division. He was outstriking Josh Emmett. He outstrikes almost everybody until he loses the fight. He does have 9 submission losses, the last one coming to Thiago Moises. I just think Ferreira's probably got the best jiu-jitsu he's seen yet. I mean, watching this dude scramble is a work of art. It's so good. Like, I don't have many words for it other than it's so good, because just watch it. Like, I'm not even a huge jiu-jitsu guy, but I can understand from watching him that the guy is nasty. And I think he's not dumb. I don't think he's going to try to strike with Johnson the whole time. Is he going to strike? Yeah, he's done that a lot, where he's just standing striking and not shooting. But I think Johnson is going to be winning the exchanges on the feet, and I think Diego's going to understand the assignment. I think he's going to grapple. What I did was I played him at, let me tell you the line, -140 for 2 units. It's a little lower than it is now. I like that spot. I think he is going to win. I think it is going to be via grappling. Whether it's a sub or decision, I think it's going to be a sub, but I don't know. I did play the under 2.5 as well, just to kind of cover both sides, because I do recognize that if Ferreira is not taking to this to the ground, or cannot, he's going to be in big trouble, and I don't think it's going to make it all 15 minutes. So I think there's going to be a finish. I got that under at minus 125. I beat the line movement there. I love that. Don't know what it is now. It's, let me tell you. It is minus 160 and climbing. It's getting tough because both guys are relatively durable, I would say. Like, and the last time that Johnson did get subbed, it was Moises with an ankle lock. So they can go. It's risky, but if it goes the other way and you can get something lower, I like it. At minus 125, I loved it. And I do think he's going to win the fight, but it's going to be close and it's going to be scary if it's on the feet. We can move on, though. This next one, I honestly haven't seen many people talk about it. We got Andre Fialho versus Joaquin Buckley. Fialho, 16-6-0, 29 years old, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch reach, training out of Sanford MMA. Buckley, 15-6-0. He's going to be the same age, 2 inches shorter, 2-inch reach advantage. Don't know exactly where he trains. He looks like he moves around a lot. I'll start us off. So, look, first thing here, Buckley's coming down to welterweight. Something to talk about. Who knows how his chin's going to hold up? Literally just got knocked out by Chris Curtis not that long ago. Now he's moving down. Is the chin still going to be there? I'm not sure. That said, he's not the biggest middleweight. He never was. He was always pretty small. He is big and chunky, but I always thought he can go down in weight, and he has, and I think he's going to be okay. In terms of just the matchup, I do think it's Buckley. I think it's Buckley all day long. Fialho can catch him, can knock him out, and that's why I'm not going to touch this, especially with that weight cut. But all things like if there was no weight cut, if they were the same weight, like I would probably be playing Buckley at minus 170. I know it's wider now. I definitely wouldn't touch it now. At minus 170, maybe it was playable. Again, with the weight cut, I wouldn't do it. But Fialho is very flat-footed from what I see. I think his striking is very good. He's a Muay Thai fighter, I believe. But it looks good to me. He is a little flat-footed, which is why I think Buckley's going to find a lot of success. He does move a lot back and forth. And I always liked his striking. I feel like Buckley's always been underrated a little bit, even after the Impa knockout, which is the coolest thing ever. People still said, that was a one-off. And of course it's a one-off. Kicks like that never happen. But I think he's always been underrated. He looked good to me even in the Holland fight before he got knocked out. The guy mixes it up really well. He's got really good boxing. He's extremely explosive. He's got that dog in him. And he can wrestle decently. I mean, Fialho's not going to grapple. So if anyone's going to wrestle here, I would put money that it's Buckley. Maybe Bet Online will have who gets more takedowns. If it's playable, I'll do it with Buckley. But might be a path for him. I think on the feet, he's got a path too. He'll be fine. I don't think he has to wrestle here. I think Buckley wins. I'm not going to play it. A little bit too many unknowns for me here with the weight cut. But I do think he wins. If you insist on a parlay, he's probably one of the better pieces. But I would say it's a pass. How about you, Wiz?
This is probably my favorite fight on the card, just as a viewer. Fialho's going to have a 2-inch head advantage. Buckley's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. Both guys are somewhat of a glass cannon. They can land KOs and have gotten knocked out multiple times themselves. So when you look at the line and it's climbing at the moment, like minus 230 Buckley, plus 190 to plus 200 Fialho, it's very hard for me to play Buckley here. This fight primarily is going to be playing on the feet. I do favor Buckley's durability ever so slightly, but him moving down to 170 might affect that, and it's concerning. At these odds, I would have to play Fialho. I will also look at unders. I think this fight probably ends in the first round, to be honest with you. First round knockout for either guy is not out of the realm of possibility. And to be quite honest, I know it's something that we haven't seen in the tape, but over the past year, Fialho has been posting videos on Instagram of him wrestling a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to attempt a takedown or two just to control the fight. But yeah, I mean, at plus 200, plus 210, I'm going to have to play Fialho just for the sheer fact that it's a puncher's chance. And at that number, I'll love to take it. Even Fialho KO, it's probably only going to give me an extra like 30 to 40 cents. I haven't checked the number there though. But yeah, at the current number, it has to be Fialho, dog or pass.
Yeah, money line's plus 200 on Fialho. KO's plus 250. Might as well just do the money line there in case something ridiculous happens.
Exactly.
I feel
Wrestling
like
machine Fialho.
the wrestling thing might be good for him in the long term, but I feel like right now, if he tries to wrestle because he's not used to that and he's a striker, he always has been, might exhaust him and then just really open up the door for Buckley. For me, it's really going to come down to how's the cut. If Buckley cuts well, I think he's going to be fine. But definitely, if I had to bet a money line, I also think it's dog or pass. But Buckley's my pick, and we can move on. Next up, we've got Emily Ducote versus Lupita Godinez. Emily is 12-7-0. She's 29 years old, 5'2" with a 63-inch reach. ATT OKC is what it says on Tapology. I don't remember otherwise. Lupita, 9-3-0. She's 29 as well. She's going to be the same height, 2-inch reach disadvantage. Tight end MMA on Tapology. I don't think that's right. I'm going to look it up. Wiz, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so Godinez coming in on short notice here. Who was Ducote originally supposed to be fighting? I can't quite remember.
What's her name? The Brazilian chick everybody loves.
Right here. It is Poliana Viana. Oh,
yes, I had Ducote for 2 units in that fight.
Yeah, so Godinez, like I said, coming in on short notice, about 10 days. And tail of the tape is almost identical. If you want to think of it in a binary sense, if Lupi can land the takedowns, if she shoots the takedowns, she shoots the goddamn takedowns, this is a cakewalk for her. But she's completely gone away from that aspect of her game, and I don't quite understand why. She's fallen in love with her striking, which has led to some really close fights. I don't necessarily think she won that last fight against Cynthia Calvillo. She's only landed, I think, it's 1 takedown in her last 2 fights. That's very alarming. But here's the thing: if Lupi can get these takedowns, I don't think Ducote has anything to offer off her back. Her get-up game is really bad. I just can't trust Lupi to get takedowns here. In her last 2 fights, she has not really shot takedowns. If I did see that, I would be max betting Lupi Godinez here. If I knew that she's going to consistently shoot takedowns in this fight, this is a max bet. But poor IQ has completely ruined this bet for me, and I'm just staying away from a side. It's a pass, but I do think Lupi can get this done if she shoots.
Yeah, so for me, this is another one of those recency bias spots where I think a lot of people lost money on Lupi. I know a lot of people lost money on Lupi because everybody was doing that thing where they tell the future and say Lupi's going to run through Hill. And I bet Hill, and I cashed because you guys were wrong and I was right. So that doesn't mean that Lupi's never going to wrestle again. She had a bad fight, and I knew that if she doesn't take Hill down, she's going to lose. And she didn't get her down, so she lost. Against Calvillo, she shot twice, didn't get them. But Calvillo has a 77% takedown defense over a tremendous fight sample size in the UFC. Not a woman who's easy to take down. She shot twice, she tried, and then she won on the feet. So what did it matter to her? And the Angela Hill thing, yeah, she didn't get a takedown. She got one, but she didn't use it much. Her and Ducote both fought Angela Hill. Both fought her on the feet. Both fought her for 15 rounds. Who got completely outstruck and who didn't? Ducote got completely outstruck. Lupi had a close fight on the feet. So not to do MMA math, but I think it's a pretty, like, if you're going to sit here and say Angela Hill beat Lupi because Lupi refused to strike, okay, but Lupi still had a great performance, better than Ducote on the feet. And I think people get so hung up in these narratives. She's gone from her striking. She's just whatever. Gone from her wrestling, fell in love with the striking. I think it's a good thing that the striking is getting better. I think it's a great thing. She can set up the takedowns better, and I think she's going to go back to it. You look at Ducote's record, right? The people she's fought are good, but the people taking her down, it's not great. Penne did shoot 9 times, didn't get a single one, but a very different grappling style from Lupita. Very, very different. She gets taken down by Kanako Murata the whole fight, pretty much. She got taken down by Alicia Zapatella more than once. Not great looks. And women that Lupi is a much better wrestler than. With her striking, with her grappling that I do think she's going to use, I think this is her fight to lose. Can Ducote win? Of course she can win. I mean, anyone could win an MMA fight. I think it's a decently close fight, and there's a reason I'm not playing Godinez at -150. I want something better. I'm sitting and waiting to see if I will get something better because I understand Ducote is a good striker. She's got really good leg kicks that everybody's harping about. That can really help if it stops Lupi from shooting. But I just think overall, I think this is Lupi's fight to lose. I think she'll be better in the ground without a doubt. And on the feet, I think people are going to be surprised that it's going to be close. So give me Lupi here, and I'll play her depending on the odds. If it's minus 150 or worse, I'm not going to be playing her. I'll say that much. It'll be a pass for me then.
And I'm just replying to Daz. I'm not saying that she didn't win her last fight. I'm saying that I don't think she deserved that decision personally.
I feel you. I mean, I watched it back. Thought she deserved it, but I'm biased. I played her there, I think so. But we can move on, guys. So next up, we've got the co-main event. This is a banger, in my opinion. Probably the fight I'm looking forward to the most. We have Edmen Shahbazyan versus Anthony Hernandez. Shahbazyan 12-3-0, 25 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. He's at Extreme Couture. Thank God he left his old camp. Anthony Hernandez 10-2-0. He's 4 years older, 2 inches shorter, and he's got a 1-inch reach advantage. MMA Gold Fight Team is what they have on Tapology. I don't have otherwise. And did you go last or did I? You went last. I'll start us off. So my gut reaction to this was Anthony Hernandez all day, because you think about who Edmen Shahbazyan has trouble with. It's grapplers, and Anthony Hernandez, he's like a middleweight Marab, just relentless. He just won't stop. I think he's attempting like 6 takedowns every 15 minutes, something like that. 6.49 every 15 minutes, and he's getting them at a 64% rate. So the guy is grappling a lot, and he's succeeding with it a lot. And that's a problem against Edmen. I think that he might just grind him out. He might finish him late. That's why the late finish props are completely shot on Hernandez. They're unplayable. But the more I taped it, the more I thought that Shahbazyan is very live and very playable at plus 200 or more. Anthony Hernandez, the striking, in my opinion, isn't quite there. He strikes in these flurries to set up his shots, but it's not high level. It just kind of throws them off so he can go for the takedown. And I mean, the guy is so hittable. Like that 47% striking defense, I don't even think that tells the full story. He's so hittable. He just leaps right in, and he's very counterable. A guy like Edmen, I think, is very, very live to hurt him. Like even his most recent fights, like the Marc-Andre Barriault fight, I didn't love him on the feet. I didn't think he was looking great on the feet. Of course, every time he got it to the ground, that's his thing, and that pressure. But I think Edmen's going to find the knockout. I think it's going to happen in round 2. That's my prediction. But I just played his money line at plus 200. I didn't want to get fancy. I put a half unit on it. Kept it to a half unit because I recognize his weakness is wrestling. And Anthony Hernandez is like the nightmare for a person like Edmen. So keep it small, but I see a clear opening here for Edmen, a clear way to win. He is the younger guy. In my personal opinion, I think UFC is trying to get him back on track, but it's kind of a win-win for them because Anthony Hernandez is still someone you can hype up. He's relentless. I don't know about exciting, but he's fun to watch. So I think it's a win-win for them, but I do think they probably want Edmen to win. Not that that really matters. It's just something I'm bringing up, but I like Edmen. Took him at plus 200, half unit, like I said. How about you, Wiz?
Yeah, I think this is probably the worst matchup for Edmen Shahbazyan in the division, to be quite frank. Anthony Hernandez slowly racking up these UFC wins, and he's doing them with smart game planning, with very clean fight IQ. Yeah, I just think this is a very terrible matchup for Edmen. He's not a good grappler, does not deal with his cardio well. We do see him fade, and off of his back, he doesn't really have anything to offer. The takedown defense really isn't there. And Hernandez is a guy that historically, if you watch the tape, he likes to break people. He broke Marc-Andre Barriault, who is another guy that likes to break people with his pace and with his cardio. I just think Hernandez likely wrestles Shahbazyan until he gasses out. He breaks him down the stretch and finds a submission. I think the submission is going to come in late round 2. That's just my gut feeling here after watching the tape. I'm pretty sure this does happen. It's not like a hot take. A lot of people have been saying this in the community, and I think he's a solid parlay piece personally, but I do see your point with the striking defense.
Yeah, and I mean, Edmen's also improving. He's at Extreme Couture finally. The switch happened, I think, before his last fight or the fight before then. And we've seen it getting better and better, right? Again, he hasn't fought a guy with the pressure of Hernandez. He has fought really good wrestlers like Derek Brunson. One of my favorite underdog cashes ever. I got Brunson at like plus 300. My brother had an obnoxious amount of money on Edmund for some reason, and I tried to talk him down. Didn't listen to me. And that was a great cash. But Edmund was like, what, 21 in that fight, I think? I think he's come a long way. I think he's going to come a long way. And like I said, I think that it makes sense for Hernandez to be favored. There's a reason I kept it to a half unit shot, but I see the path for Edmund, but I also totally understand why people would be on Hernandez. We can move on to our main event. I don't know if it's a main event anyone would have ever asked for, but we'll deal with it. We've got Mackenzie Dern versus my favorite women's fighter, Angela Hill. Dern, 12-3-0, 30 years old, 5'4" with a 63-inch reach. Black House is what it says here. I'll look after this, double check. Angela Hill, 15-12-0. She's 38, 8 years older, 1 inch shorter. She's got a 1.5-inch reach advantage, and Alliance MMA is what I've got here. Start us off, Wiz.
Yeah, this is a tough fight for me to read personally, as we've seen Angela Hill go out there and beat people with a similar fighting style as Mackenzie Dern, who also have better wrestling. And here's the thing, Hill's going to be the much better striker, levels ahead. Obviously, Mackenzie Dern's game plan is taking the girl down, guard pulling, and finding a sub. I think the 5-round fight obviously favors Dern here. 10 more minutes to find a submission. It's going to be a close one. I don't think the money line is playable for Mackenzie Dern here. So I'm just staying away personally. I'm close to playing Angela Hill, but I don't know, man. I have really bad luck when betting Angela Hill, so I might just stay away. But that's just my read. I think Hill decision is probably the way to go.
I think anyone who's bet Hill has had a bad time because of all the freaking robberies that we've had to go through. Dude, I've been betting this woman since 2020. She's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights. And it's been rough because I bet her almost every single one of those. Bet her against Loma. Bet her against Claudia at plus 300 or something like that. That a fight that she won. Bet her against Waterson Gomez, a fight that she won. Yoder, of course, I bet her there. I bet her against Tisha Torres. She lost that one fair and square. She lost to Amanda Lemos. She won that fight. She lost to Virna Jandiroba. She lost that fight. What'd you say?
Don't even remind me the Lemos.
Man, she was what, like plus 300 there also? Plus
250 or something, yeah.
She won that damn fight. And now Lemos is challenging for the title. Okay. And then, yeah. And then Lupi, I bet her against Lupi. And I chickened out against Ducote. And I'm still kicking myself. But you know what? She was like plus 115. I'll live. So, yeah, I have a very similar read to you. I want to be fully behind Hill, but there's something keeping me from it. Just the grappling of Dern. Her wrestling sucks. It's been getting a little better, I think, but man, once she gets them down, it's crazy. Like they're in trouble. Jan barely survived that one round where she was just destroying her on the ground. And Hill, we've seen her submitted. We've seen her dominate on the ground against a woman like Verna. So can it happen? Of course it can happen. And with 5 rounds for it to happen, I think that's where I'm being really reluctant. If it was a 3-rounder, I'd probably play Hill more happily than I would for a 5-rounder because it's just more time for Dern to catch her. On the feet, like you said, I think it's Hill by a mile. On the ground, I think it's obvious it's Dern by a mile. So it comes down to who's going to get their fight. After looking at it, my first gut feeling was go look at the spread. What's the spread on this? Because those can be interesting in close fights, right? So Angela Hill plus 5.5 is at minus 110, I think, something like that. And I did the math. You need her to win 2 rounds or get a finish to cash that ticket. 2 or more rounds or get a finish. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that might not happen. And then I looked at the fight goes to decision, and it was minus 125, only a little bit more expensive. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do that. Because if I'm going to play her handicap, then I think she's going to win. And I think she's going to either win. I mean, not win. I think she's going to get to a decision and at least win 2 rounds. Because I don't think she's going to finish Dern. I know that also covers the handicap. I don't think she's going to. So if I think that it's going to go to a decision and I want Angie to win 2 rounds, why not just play it at minus 125 where she doesn't have to win any rounds and I'll still cash the ticket. And if she wins, great. Angela Hill won. I love her. But I thought the safer way to do it was just play fight goes. If you think that Mackenzie Dern's going to win, I mean, play her however you want. I think it's going to be ITD. But I think that Hill, that's my lean. I think she's going to win. I think she'll survive the ground. And I think we're going to go to a decision. So I decided that was the safest way to play it. Can't hate if you just play Hill money line. I'm just too nervous about her getting submitted. But we'll have to see. And that's it, guys. That's it. That's 12 fights. Not the best card in the world, but it's a card nonetheless. And hopefully we can make some money with it. Last week I went 7-3 on my picks and still lost 5 units on it. So that wasn't fun. So I think I've been a little bit more wary this week, a little bit more slow to place bets, but slowly building up a slate. Definitely going to be one of my smallest ones to date, but hey, it's good to have a card. Going to miss it next week. And yeah, thank you, Wiz, as always, for coming on. Before I pass the mic to you real quick, I'll plug myself. Content-wise, I'm going on Lou's show on Thursday. Can't tell you guys the time off the top of my head. He'll let you guys know. Going to talk props with him. Doing my prop show as always. I think it's going to be Friday this week. We're still deciding what day to move it back to. Thursday, Friday. We've been playing around with it. And finally, I'm done with school, so I have more time and I can look at regionals again. I'm hoping to bring back an LFA breakdown. That would be great. Maybe by Thursday, something like that. I'll have it out. Going to do my best. And I'll place any bets that I do for regionals. I'll post it on Twitter as always. And yeah, thank you again, Wiz. Plug yourself, brother, and we'll head on out.
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. I appreciate the chat. It's always fun being here. And yeah, you guys can find all my work at Wiz Does on Twitter and YouTube. I interview fighters. I do media for PFL, Bellator, and hopefully UFC soon enough. In a week and a half, I'll be doing media at the Anderson Silva's son. He has his first boxing match out here, so I'm going to be doing media over there. So a lot of fun stuff. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Hopefully I get to meet Anderson. That's the goal. But yeah, guys, as always, thank you so much for being engaging in the chat. And Mike, thank you for having me.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all again. Good luck this weekend with any of your bets, regionals, UFC, or otherwise. And good luck.